All right, we are about to dive into a pretty dramatic and, often overlooked moment in Indian history. It's an incredible story of power, of faith, and of a legendary fortress that everyone thought was completely impenetrable.
So, let me ask you something. When you think of Delhi's Red Fort, what comes to mind? Probably the seat of the mighty Mughal Empire, right? But what if I told you that its gates were once smashed open, and its throne was captured by an army of Sikh warriors?
And yeah, they didn't just conquer the fort. They actually brought the Mughal emperor to his knees. This wasn't just another battle. This was an event that would completely reshape the story of Delhi. So how in the world did this happen? Well, it all kicks off with the march of the Khalsa army. Now, the Sikhs had marched on Delhi before, but this time was different. They weren't coming to raid, they were coming to conquer.
You can just imagine it. Absolute panic gripped the Mughal capital. This wasn't just some small skirmish on the outskirts. This was a full-scale invasion force aiming right for the heart of the empire. The entire city was bracing for what was about to happen.
Leading the charge was the legendary Baghel Singh, who was the head of the Khalsa Delhi missile, one of the 12 sovereign states of the Sikh Confederacy. He led an initial force of 40,000 warriors. That's an army big enough to seriously challenge the might of the Mughals.
But that was just the beginning. Other great Sikh leaders, like Jassa Singh Ahluwalia and Jassa Singh Ramgarhia, they rallied to the cause, and their combined forces swelled to a staggering 60,000 warriors, all marching on the capital together.
I mean, the contrast here is just so stark. On one side, you've got the unified Khalsa army, this massive, determined force bearing down on the city, and on the other, you've got the Mughal emperor, totally powerless, literally trapped inside the very fortress that was supposed to be a symbol of his strength.
So the stage was set. You have this enormous army right at the gates, an emperor hiding inside, and standing between them are the massive fortified walls of the Red Fort. The question on everyone's mind was pretty simple. How could they possibly get in?
The emperor's strategy was, well, simple, if a little desperate. Seal every single gate and just wait it out. He truly believed the high walls and the barred gates of his fortress would be enough to keep the Sikh army out. That turned out to be a fatal miscalculation.
This is where pure ingenuity just defeats brute force. The Sikh forces didn't give up. They got a critical tip from a local mason who pointed out a weak spot in the wall. So what did they do? With sheer determination, they took a massive log, turned it into a makeshift battering ram, and with a whole lot of coordinated effort, they smashed right through the wall. They breached the unbreachable fortress.
Just let that sink in for a moment. This was a monumental event. The throne of Delhi, which had been the symbol of Mughal authority for centuries, was now, for the very first time in history, under the control of the Sikh Khalsa. The entire balance of power in northern India had just shifted dramatically.
But here's the thing. The Sikh leaders weren't there to just sit on a throne and occupy the city. They had a really clear and specific set of goals. So, what exactly did they demand from the defeated emperor?
See, their demands weren't for land or for gold. They imposed three key conditions. First, the right to build gurdwaras, their shrines, at all of the sites in Delhi that were sacred to Sikh history. Second, these new gurdwaras would remain completely under Sikh authority. And third, and this one is maybe the most important, the site where the 9th Sikh Guru, Guru Tegh Bahadur, was executed was to be handed over to them.
So this was never just about political power. It was about justice, and it was about memory. By demanding the right to build their shrines and control their own holy sites, the Sikhs weren't just victors in a battle. They were reclaiming their own history in the very city where their guru had been martyred. They were rewriting the narrative on their own terms.
And that really leaves us with a final, powerful question. The Sikh conquest of the Red Fort shows us that history isn't always written by the most powerful empires. Sometimes it's rewritten by those who have the courage to tear down walls and demand that the past be honored. So what does it take to rewrite history? Well, maybe it takes a force of 60,000, a makeshift battering ram, and the unbreakable will to reclaim what was lost.